Here's your wrestling news for October 27th, 2022, and we're kicking off today with AEW, who featured the Elite on last night's episode of Dynamite. Since the AEW All Out backstage fight, there's been little to no references of the trio of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, but that all changed this week. During Dynamite, a video package aired highlighting some of the best moments from the Elite, and the voices of Matt Jackson and Kenny Omega could be heard as well. This video comes just 1 week after Tony Schiavone name-dropped the group on TV, and it's been reported that AEW is considering bringing them back to programming. All of this comes after reports that AEW's investigation into the All Out fight is expected to wrap up soon, and all signs are pointing to the Elite not losing their jobs over what happened. As if this video weren't enough, PW Insider reports that Omega and the Bucks were backstage at this week's Dynamite, the first time they've been around since the suspension last month. Interestingly, the video features the Elite being erased from some of AEW's big moments, which has led some fans to speculate that they'll be turning heel, frustrated by the company trying to erase them with their suspension. Whatever the case is, the Bucks and Omega should be back in person very soon, and hopefully will avoid a similar situation to All Out going forward. It is just a matter of time before AEW has the Elite back on their shows, but one person whose future isn't looking so bright is CM Punk. Punk was also suspended for his role in the backstage fight, and while AEW is in talks about bringing the Elite back, the opposite is the case with Punk. Wrestling Inc. reports that AEW have not reached out to their controversial former world champion since the All Out pay-per-view, so there's been no talk about him possibly returning. It's also been reported that AEW is seeking to buy out the remainder of Punk's contract, but want to make sure a non-compete clause keeps him from WWE for at least a long time. Punk joined AEW with so much hype, but injuries and backstage issues have resulted in the Chicago-made wrestler being incredibly toxic to the point where the promotion doesn't even want to speak with him. If Punk is fired for his role in the All Out fight, as many expect, then WWE will likely be the only place that could afford him. But would the promotion want to bring him back? Well, when WrestleVote spoke to Give Me Sport, they said that in July, sources within WWE made it clear that Triple H wanted nothing to do with Punk, but his stance has since softened a little bit in recent days. The report admitted that there is still a lot of animosity between Punk and WWE, as both sides have been heavily critical of each other since Punk's infamous 2014 walkout. With that said, WrestleVotes added that Triple H has learned from Vince, who, for as stubborn as he could be, was willing to make amends with practically everybody if it was good for business. It's also worth noting that WWE is currently in a war with AEW for brand supremacy, and while Punk is certainly controversial, bringing him in and away from AEW would certainly move the needle. Triple H may be somewhat willing to bring Punk back, but it's unclear if Punk would want to wrestle for WWE again, but if he loses his job after AEW, he may not have a choice. It's safe to say that AEW has had their fair share of issues this year, from a plague of injuries to several fights breaking out backstage. We've already seen plenty of prominent names be suspended for their actions out of the ring, and Britt Baker has had enough. Speaking on the Swerve City podcast, Baker addressed what she believes is one of, if not the biggest issue in AEW today. What's so toxic is when somebody thinks they're bigger than the company, or that the company needs them. There's literally no one in AEW that they need other than Tony Khan to survive. Everybody can be replaced. AEW's first ever female signing, Baker has had plenty of success in the company, but the former women's world champion realizes that her success is only because Tony Khan chose her. Khan has often presented himself as a down-to-earth boss, the opposite of Vince McMahon, but he is still the boss in AEW. Last week it was reported that AEW higher-ups are seeking to buy out CM Punk's contract rather than keep the toxic star around, and if that can happen to a megastar like him, then everyone in AEW should remember who's in charge. More from CM Punk, as in 2019, the future AEW World Champion was part of WWE backstage in what was a shocking pseudo-return to the company. Punk was under contract with Fox at the time, not WWE, but provided analysis of the company's product alongside other panelists, including Booker T. Speaking on his Hall of Fame podcast this week, Booker addressed the possibility of a Punk return to WWE and isn't buying it. There's always a chance, but I don't think it's a big chance or anything like that we see CM Punk back in WWE. I don't think CM Punk wants to go back to WWE, CM Punk has made it perfectly clear ever since he showed up in AEW what he feels and what he thinks about WWE and everything in it. I don't think that feeling is going to change or anything like that. From a business standpoint, no, I don't see CM Punk back in WWE. While a Punk return isn't impossible, it's clear that the wrestler is able to hold a grudge for a very long time, meaning that he may choose to be retired from wrestling again rather than work for WWE again. Over to WWE, as since becoming head of creative and talent relations, Triple H has made plenty of changes, mostly to the roster, thanks to several returns. Names like Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, and Dakota Kai have all returned under the game's watch, but now, a huge change is coming to WWE's yearly schedule. As WrestleVotes reports, WWE is looking to ditch their annual Hell in a Cell event, which has come as a direct edict from Triple H himself. The show itself completely dead. That match, from what I understand, means a lot to Hunter. Just think of the classics that he's had in there. Roman Reigns and Jay, so they've been feuding for 6 weeks. They got to be there now because the calendar says so. That's not going to happen anymore. With 9 appearances inside the cell, the second most only behind The Undertaker's 14, Triple H knows all about the importance of the structure and boasts a 66.6% win rate. With reports that WWE seeks to ditch stipulation events, shows like Elimination Chamber and WWE TLC could also become a thing of the past, and don't expect a Hell in a Cell 2023 premium live event. More from AEW next, as the show saw AEW World Champion Jon Moxley successfully defend his title against Penta, but the celebration would be short-lived. After the match, the Firm blindsided the champion, but in a surprising move, MJF decided to call off the group for assaulting his Full Gear opponent. Things got so heated that MJF shoved Stokely Hathaway, telling him it's over for the Firm in AEW, and while that isn't quite the case, MJF's time in the group is certainly finished. Instead of the group listening to MJF, W. Morrissey laid out the salt of the earth with a big boot, and the rest of the group ganged up on their now former leader. Ethan Page planted MJF with the Ego's Edge in the ring, and the attack would only stop after Morrissey chokeslammed the #1 contender for the AEW World title through a table. For weeks, AEW has been teasing a change in character for MJF, and that paid off this week. So when he faces Jon Moxley at Full Gear, he won't have the backing of the Firm behind him. Since May, Sasha Banks and Naomi have been suspended from WWE TV due to their now infamous walkout due to creative differences. Despite reports earlier this year that both women were expected to leave WWE, that is no longer the case, as the company's new regime have reportedly been able to strike a deal. This week, another tease came out that the pair are close to a WWE return, as the duo were spotted on the red carpet alongside some familiar faces. At the premiere for Marvel's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Banks and Naomi attended alongside the New Day, as well as the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champion and Naomi's husband, Jimmy Uso. The appearance also saw Big E attend, thankfully without his neck brace, as the former WWE Champion has been getting closer and closer to being fully healed. As for Banks and Naomi, the fact that WWE is allowing their superstars to appear with the duo is a good sign, and another sign that their TV return is imminent. And we're ending today with more from AEW, as the show didn't stop when Dynamite went off the air. After being betrayed by the Firm, MJF recovered from the attack and went to the back all by himself, but got a standing ovation from the crowd in attendance. While it may not have been a fully fledged face turn, MJF is changing his character, and the crowd in Norfolk's Chartway Arena were pleased to see it. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.